11 Sports and For the Fans welcomes you to the following presentation of the Simulation Football League.
Week 4 of the Simulation Football League rolls along from Portland, where tonight the two teams that joined the league in Season 15 meet up for the first time in Season 16. And good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Shipyard in Portland, Oregon. Alongside producer extraordinaire Cameron Irvine, our statisticians Dwayne Schindler and Zach Holdorf, and my partner Stephen Mullinax, I'm Tim Hackett. You're watching the Simulation Football League on LSN and FTF. Happy to have you with us. Tonight we get a look at two teams at a crossroads in their sophomore season. Stephen, can the Fleet offense get some wind in its sails, or the Toros move to 3-1 and stay in the top half of the league table with a third of the season in the books?
Well, Tim, here are my keys to this game. For the 1-2 Portland Fleet, it's all about third downs. The Fleet coming into tonight's Week 4 matchup having the lowest conversion rate in the SFL on third downs at just 33%. This is a team that is unafraid to run the ball regardless of down or distance. But I'm putting the onus on the arm of Matt South and his talented trio of wide receivers. Portland needs their passing offense, which ranks dead last in the league right now, to come to life in this game, particularly on third downs. Now, for the 2-1 Fort Worth Toros, they have their own passing woes to worry about. Young quarterback Cameron Curtis has failed to throw a single touchdown pass over his first 3 games under center, but the Toros have still been able to win off of strong performances from veteran running back Jason Williams and a defense that allows just 12 points a game to opposing offense. If Fort Worth's 23rd ranked passing offense can find success against a Portland defense that's allowed an average of 300 yards plus through the air, then the Toros have a good chance of extending their winning streak to 3.
The two teams that entered the league before last season met last year in Fort Worth. Fort Worth won that game convincingly. Now they'll flip the script, and Portland will host the second ever meeting between the Toros and the Fleet. Portland will kick off wearing their all blacks. Fort Worth will receive wearing their all golds. David John will kick away for the Fleet, and we're underway from the Shipyard. Second to last game of Week 4 of Season 16 in the Simulation Football League. Fort Worth will get the ball out to the 22-yard line. The non-roster kick returner number 89, Clark Alexander, will start things off for Fort Worth. So last season, the Toros in their inaugural season, team built from the ground up by Stephen Hacker and his longtime friend Luis Gonzalez. They bring in Robert Garrett Jr. to help run the ship. And this is the results. Cameron Curtis, now in his first season as the Toros starting quarterback, will hand it off to Jason Williams, the now veteran tailback, and he picks up 2 to start things off.
Jason Williams, really the heart and soul of this offense, as they've got a young guy, as you mentioned, Curtis under center. He's really been the stalwart here early in the season, coming off a terrific game where he had 17 carries for 140 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Fantastic minor league quarterback, has yet to throw a touchdown in his major league career. Spent last season as a wide receiver, this year as the quarterback. His first pass of the day is caught on the near side by Stephen Hacker, the veteran wide receiver, one of the best in the league, picks up 6.
Yeah, and Hacker does a great job there of staying away from the out-of-bounds marker, able to turn his momentum towards the first down marker, make this a 3rd and 1. And with a young quarterback like that, any type of momentum you can build with him and confidence is a good thing.
An early third down situation here for Fort Worth. The Portland defense has been excellent on third downs. They will give it to Jason Williams, and he gets just enough to move the chains. Needed 1, gets 1. Robert Brouwer on the stop, but Jason Williams, the veteran, gets it done.
Jay Will in his 6th season here in the SFL, a former fullback. You see some of that power coming into play there as he's able to push it, really nudge it right over the first down marker.
And still a fresh set of downs for Fort Worth against this Portland defense. Like we said, one of the best against third downs in the league through 3 games. And they get to Curtis there. A loss of 3 on the fresh set of downs. This Portland defense has struggled to pressure opposing quarterbacks this season. But Derwin Nuevo has his 2nd of the year.
Yeah, Nuevo just doing a great job of getting early penetration there, using a power move to get past the offensive lineman. And for the young quarterback, little early struggle there.
Neither of these two teams have allowed a whole lot of sacks, both middle of the pack, but a good start here to the Portland defense. Now Curtis will flip it out to the top of the formation. It's caught by Robert Garrett Jr. Now in his second season with Fort Worth, obviously, in their second year of existence, his fourth season in the SFL overall. One of the most used tight ends in the SFL is on the board.
Well, the Toros love using their tight ends. In fact, their tight ends lead this team in receptions. 17 for Garrett, make it 18 on that catch, over 200 yards so far this season.
Only had 2 catches last week in Fort Worth's win over Tulsa to get them to 2-1. A lot of other teams are 3-1. Can Fort Worth join them? On third down, Curtis's pass is caught but out of bounds by Stephen Hacker, and that brings up fourth down.
And you know I'm not a fan of throwing in front of the sticks on third down, but in that particular case, Hacker had a lot of room in front of him. If only the pass had been just a little bit more, a little bit crisper and a little bit quicker, he might have been able to use his momentum to make that first down instead of going out of bounds.
Plenty of growing pains for Cam Curtis in his first season as a starting quarterback in the SFL, despite being a standout in the minor leagues a long time ago now, like we said. So Fort Worth punts it away. They get 1 first down, and now they will give the ball up to Portland. And Benjamin Warner will get out to the 35-yard line, one of the best punt returners in the SFL through 3 weeks. And now our first look tonight at Matt South, a veteran quarterback in his 4th season in the SFL. He was brought in to lead the charge last season as the inaugural quarterback for the Portland Fleet. They've now got a trio of sophomores for South to throw to, and Ezekiel Love, a former minor league standout himself as a running back, similar to Curtis, spent last year playing a different position. Now this year he's back to the position that he always wanted to play, running back. He's one of the most used in the league. On first down, South will flip it out to John Truzman, the fullback. That is his first touch of the season, Stephen, and he picks up 4 through the air.
And it's a good sign here for Portland. We had the honor of actually watching this game last week, and despite the Fleet only scoring 5 points, I came away really impressed by a lot of things that they did, especially on the defensive end of the ball. But we know they want to get the ball into Ezekiel Love's hands. Here, they're spreading it out to Truzman. That's a good sign.
South will throw on second down, and it's caught by Nelson Lozano Jr., their tight end. Unlike Robert Garrett, Stephen, not one of the most used tight ends in the league, but tell that to him after last week where he made 6 catches, didn't have any coming into last week.
Right, yeah, they really looked to utilize him, and I think it helped them out. Obviously, didn't give them the win, but it's starting to open up their offense. We saw them initialize this game here with using John Truzman. They can start spreading that ball out. That might be the key to opening up this passing game.
Early third down for Portland. Like we said, they've struggled in these situations this year, but not this time. They toss it out to Ezekiel Love. The tailback picks up 3 when he needs to.
And they're just doing what they need to do here to move the ball, move the sticks. And when you're needing, so much on the offensive side of the ball, the passing offense ranking 24th in the league, that's dead last, averaging 63 yards a game, you got to do little things like swing and screen passes, get it going.
And like you said, Stephen, last in the league in third down efficiency as well. On first down, they will give it to Love, and he barrels across the left side for a gain of 3. Let's introduce you to the Portland offense like we like to do here in the SFL. They're wearing their All Blacks. They come into today with a record of 1-2. Matt South is the quarterback. Ezekiel Love is the tailback. A trio of wide receivers, Gene Valentine, Art Vandelay, and Benjamin Warner. Nelson Lozano Jr. is the tight end. John Truzman is the fullback, and David John is their place kicker. Second down from just south of midfield for Matt South, the 4th-year man from North Wilkesboro, North Carolina. They'll once again flip it out to Love. Love picks up 1, and he stood up right on the midfield stripe for a gain of 1.
And this is where, Portland has traditionally struggled this season on third downs. As we said, 33% coming into this matchup last week. Only converted 2 of their 13 third down attempts. 15%. You got to do a lot better if you want to win in this league.
They've tossed it to Ezekiel Love twice on their first drive. He had only 5 catches in their prior 3 games. 3rd and 6. South off his back foot, fires left sideline. It's tipped and incomplete. Going for Valentine down the left sideline, and it's knocked away incomplete by Blake Prine, the backup free safety, the rookie second-round pick.
Well, give a lot of credit to this Taurus defensive line. Be able to get pressure on the quarterback, Matt Smith, make him uncomfortable in the pocket, make him move out of the pocket. And often we see those throws go arid ways there, just out of bounds.
Fort Worth is a unique team. They have 6 star defensive backs. If you're new to the SFL, you have a certain number of star players on your roster. You can allocate those stars across your roster however you want. Fort Worth is elected to have 6-star defensive backs, and that is Blake Prine, one of them, who made that play on third down. And so Portland will punt it away. Dominic Birkin on the kick and Clark Alexander on the kick return for the Toros. Their second drive will start from the 16. Let's introduce you to the Fort Worth offense. You got to hear from a few of them on their last drive. The quarterback, Cameron Curtis, the second-year man from Springfield, Mass. Tailback, Jason Williams, his 6th season in the league. Chris Komisak is the fullback. Wide receivers, Stephen Hacker and Cade Stevens. And a pair of tight ends, Robert Garrett Jr. and the rookie Lauren Percoco. Cam Curtis under center. 2 tailbacks and 2 wide receivers. The give to Jason Williams, and a huge hole for Jason Williams. Big gain out across the 40 and breaks the tackle. He's off to the races. Down the right sideline. Can anybody catch him? Jason Williams, 84 yards to the house. What a start for the Toros.
Wow, did the oceans just part right there for Jason Williams? A terrific job by the offensive line to give him a hole to follow. He followed his fullback true right down the line. And then it was, look at just one-on-one with Jason Williams, the former fullback, and the power to push through that tackle. Oh, boy, they have broken this game out early, and Jason Williams is already nearing 100 yards with that run alone.
84 yards officially, and get this, Portland coming into today through just 3 weeks, yes, but they allowed over those 3 games an average of 49 rushing yards per game.
Wow.
They gave up almost twice that on that one play.
Unbelievable.
That is the second best in the league for those scoring at home, and Fort Worth strikes first on the road. Extra point attempt from Taco Sicario, the second-year kicker, is up and through. So the strength of this Fort Worth offense, their running game against the strength of the Portland defense, their rush defense, and on the second time of asking, Fort Worth punches it in on the ground, courtesy of Jason Williams.
And it starts to flip the narrative here, Tim, because now I think it makes Portland a little bit less comfortable with the game plan they came in with, which we've seen is very conservative, and of course they want to run love. How long can you continue to do that if you're down in a ball game? We saw it hurt them last week. Have they made the changes to update their offense to possibly get them back into this game? We'll find out.
You said it. We saw Portland in person last week on the road against Vancouver, which suffered their first loss just a little bit ago against St. Louis, to drop from the ranks of the unbeaten. St. Louis off to a 4-0 start. Best start in franchise history with a hallmark win over the Legion earlier today. So Vancouver dispatches Portland with little fuss, I guess, last week, though they did trail 3-0 in that game. Portland picked off veteran Vancouver quarterback Tom Pepper 3 times, turned that into an early field goal and never led again. Matt South now trailing by 7, bullets it over the middle, and it's caught right at the first down line by Art Vandelay, his first catch.
Yeah, and wow, that's great to see out of Matt South. I don't think we saw a throw like that last week. Obviously, they know what happened, where they are as a team. They know they need to grow. They're working on it. I got contacted after that game by a lot of those guys over there in Portland. They know they've got a lot of growing to do, and they're going to go through some growing pains. Boy, they grew up just a little bit there on that nice pass.
Ezekiel Love gets the carry on first down from the 35 and picks up 1, tackled up the middle by cornerback Aiden Davis. And a lot of growing pains, like you said, for Portland and indeed for Fort Worth last season as brand new franchises, Stephen. But something we'll talk about in this game is just kind of the crossroads that these two franchises are on now as they meet in their sophomore seasons in the SFL. They've got a lot different overall records through a season and a third. How has that difference come to pass as Love gets the carry and he's taken down at the line of scrimmage again? No gain. Delaney Nash, the safety, comes up and makes the play.
Yeah, Delaney Nash, one of the best strong safeties here in the SFL, 6'2", 217. Came into this game with 15 tackles and an interception. This is one of the better safety duos here in this league. And as you mentioned, they've got 3 of them. So they can be really diverse in their scheme.
And the best turnover differential in the SFL through 3 games. South going to bomb it down the right sideline, looking for Vandelay, and it's knocked away by Nacho Sicario, the veteran right cornerback, one-on-one against Art Vandelay, and Fort Worth wins the battle.
They won the battle, but I love the fact that this coaching staff is starting to let Matt South get loose, giving him the green light to go deep there on a fade route, one-on-one. A lot of these receivers, you invest so much in them, you want them to win those 50-50 balls, but just a good sign that this offense has the plays in to get them back in this game.
And it's something that you and I were talking about before the game, Steven. You know this better than just about anybody in the league, how teams adapt in the SFL, how teams change as the punt is away and fair caught at the 26 from Dominic Birkin. Teams change all the time. You could change a lot in your team's game plan, your team's MO, your script from week to week. And I don't know that we saw Matt South air it out like that at all last week against Vancouver, even when they were trailing in the second half and needed to throw it. He only completed 22 passes, and they try to go deep there on their second possession. It doesn't come to pass for him there, but maybe that is an omen for better things to come for Portland as they try to get their passing game going. Fort Worth back on the ground. Jason Williams, one play after his 84-yard touchdown run, picks up 7.
Yeah, and it's going to be a long day if they're not going to be able to stop Jay Will from getting 7 yards of carry there. And, we've seen this in the league for a long time. One particular player on a team will just get hot, especially after a big play like the one we saw there from Jay Williams. It may be the rest of this day spent by Portland trying to stop that man.
He'll stretch it outside. Hesitation run from Williams. Spin move from Williams, and he crosses the 40-yard line, picks up about 6 on second down, and back-to-back strong runs of different kinds for Jason Williams. And I'll tell you this, Steven, through the first half of last season, season 15, Jason Williams was looking like one of the best running backs in the league. Now, obviously, Reggie Streeter was fantastic all season for Louisiana. Robert Redford was fantastic. Colin Hart was as well. But there was a time when it looked like Jason Williams was going to be the number one running back in the SFL last season. He was one of the best dual threat guys in the league. Hasn't really been the same way so far this year as Curtis floats it up and Stephen Hacker pulls it down. That could be a connection for a long time here for Fort Worth.
Wow, so stealing some of your shine there. You were talking about Jason Williams, and then Cameron Curvis delivers this beautiful corner route, and there is nobody near the receiver Hacker. And that is just a great play by the offensive coordinator, able to make that make that corner route work, recognize the defense, and hit him wide open. Great for your young quarterback.
Just the third completion of the day for Curtis and the second catch for Stephen Hacker. They'll go back on the ground to Williams this time, and he is stopped up at the line of scrimmage by the Portland defense. Let's introduce you to the Portland defense. We'll start with the line. There's Derwin Nuevo, who is in on the play for the third time this season. Robert Brar is the other defensive end. Defensive tackles, Vernard Patterson and Gary Burney. A trio of linebackers, Mel Davis, the veteran, on the inside, Khalil Thomas and Gary Clem on the outside. We'll tell you about the secondary after this play. Second down and 10 for Cameron Curtis. Bunch set to the bottom, throws over the middle, swatted down by Bob Funk, the second-year free safety. He leads this defensive secondary, 4 sophomores and a rookie. The other defensive backs, Shad Allen is the other safety, the strong safety having a standout sophomore season. In the corners, Derek Major, Chris Stock, and the rookie Leo Morris for defensive coordinator Art Vandelay. Put together a great game plan, as we talked about last week against Vancouver, a team averaging better than 47 points going into last week. Held them to well below that last game as Curtis's pass sails through the hands of Stephen Hacker and incomplete.
Yeah, Curtis tries to drop it in the bucket there to Hacker. Hacker goes to his knees with kind of a baseball slide there to try to get the ball, but can't pick it out of the air, drops it, makes this a fourth down, and ruins the momentum I thought they were building there and gives Portland an opportunity once again to try and tie this ball game up.
It was a strong drive for Fort Worth. It was one of their longest of the game. Of course, their touchdown scoring drive came on only one play, but their longest drive in terms of plays run in this game. And so Ray Einhorn, the punter, will boot it away again to Benjamin Warner, who will let it bounce over the head of the special teams player and into the end zone. Fort Worth had that covered, Stephen, but they couldn't keep it out of the end zone.
Yeah, and an opportunity there for Einhorn, or is that Finkel? I'm not really sure. To try to give them, we want to play the field position game here. Is why that we see some teams here in the SFL invest in special teamers like punters and kickers, try and take the best opportunity in the field position game. Here it just goes to the 20.
Pair of quarterbacks that have struggled to start this season. South back with the ball, throws to the top of the formation, and it's knocked away, incomplete. Great one-on-one defense. Had a receiver there. It's number 85, Gavin Bouvet, one of the backup wide receivers, but he couldn't haul it in.
Yeah, and very dangerous. I mean, we've seen that a lot of times when a tipped ball like that happens out of the receiver's hands and there's 2 defenders in the area. There's a good chance one of the defenders are going to come down with it. And on this side of the field, that would have been an easy pick 6.
Portland doesn't throw the ball very much. They run it about as much as any other team in the league. But when they do throw, can Fort Worth get some defensive pressure? They have struggled to do that all season long. South is under pressure, and down he goes right on cue. Fort Worth had only 3 sacks as a team through 3 games, and they get one here. Catherine Horrell, one of the best rookies in the SFL last season, has her first sack as a sophomore.
Yeah, and Horrell wasn't the only one that had got early penetration there in this offensive line. And I mean, we saw Max, we saw Schwitt, we saw the other Horrell, David Horrell. I mean, I think we saw everybody in the backfield there. No chance for Smith.
On only a 4-man rush as well. 3rd down and 16. They'll only get 5. I think it's Valentine who makes the catch at the top of the formation, but they're well short. It's Vandalay. Check it, 81, not 82. But right on cue, Steve. And sometimes I feel like I know what I'm talking about. Fort Worth is able to dial up the pressure with only a 4-man rush. Portland only conceded 7 sacks through 3 games. It's right in the middle of the pack in the SFL. And Fort Worth had only drawn up 3 sacks through 3 games, but they get it. That sends Portland way behind the sticks, and they can't recover.
Yeah, you can draw your plays in the line of the dirt to try and get you those deep passes. But if you don't have offensive line protection, this is a terrific punt return there across the 50-yard line. But if you don't have the offensive line protection and your quarterback doesn't have the time to wait on the receivers to complete their routes, you're just going to be losing large yards like we saw right there.
Strong punt return for Clark Alexander, a backup in name only. Good return to get Fort Worth all the way out near to the midfield line. So that last Toro drive kind of stops in its tracks as Curtis was not able to link up with the veteran wide receiver Stephen Hacker, who has over 5,000 receiving yards in his standout SFL career. They will go back on the ground to Jason Williams, moves the pile forward and picks up 8. Legs churning. No one could bring him down. Bob Funk finally got a piece of him, but another strong run for Williams.
Well, here we are at the end of the first quarter, and Jason Williams already has 108 rushing yards on 7 attempts and a touchdown. You think it's going to be a long day for Portland? Maybe, if they can't wrangle that horse that is Jason Williams.
It's been a fantastic start, and he's got the only points on the board through 1 quarter. Fort Worth 7, Portland 0 in the matchup of the 2 sophomore teams in the SFL. This is the Simulation Football League on LSN and FTF. Happy Sunday night to you, wherever you're watching us from. Tim Hackett and Stephen Mullinax in the booth. Zach Haldorf and Dwayne Schindler running the stats. Cameron Irvine running the show. Happy to have you with us. 2nd down and 2. First play of the 2nd quarter for Fort Worth, already on top 7-0. The late handoff to Jason Williams makes a man miss, picks up 4 on the left side.
Yeah, and that's just put that on Jason Williams and his former fullback power there that he still has, and not former, just a former fullback, but that power still possessed. But that should have gone. That should have gone. Actually, not gained a single yard, but him able to go over to the left side of the line, find his own hole, make his own hole really, and get that first down.
Harry Clem on the stop, the 3rd overall pick in this year's SFL draft. Now Curtis will toss it to the top of the formation, and it's caught by a diving Stephen Hacker, who falls out of bounds for a gain of 3.
Yeah, and you look at a play like that, and it was like, wow, a pass play went for 3 yards. That must have been a failure. Well, you kind of can consider those just like run plays. If you get 3 yards on your initial run, that's actually pretty good in most cases. And a lot of offensive coordinators would love to have 2nd and 7 because, as always, it opens up your playbook to so many other plays.
Hacker only had 11 catches through his first 3 games. It's not a lot considering how dynamic he can be. They'll go to Jason Williams on 2nd down, and he picks up 3. Another tackle for Bob Funk. And like we said earlier, Stephen, you and I saw Portland in person last week. Bob Funk was everywhere. And yes, Vancouver had the ball for the majority of the game, so the Portland defense was stuck on the field. But Bob Funk finished with 13 tackles and an interception in that game.
Well, the combined of those 2 safeties, Allen and Funk, that's 23 tackles and 2 interceptions between them.
You're right about that, and Sean Allen has been great this year. Williams gets the carry on 3rd down, and he picks up the first down. Stopped by Nuevo, who's been a busy man so far. We mentioned this in passing about Portland, Stephen, but they aren't afraid to run it on 3rd down. Clearly, Fort Worth is not either. They needed 6, and Jason Williams gives them 8.
Yeah, that's, and we saw that again, like you said, with Love, on deep 3rd downs or 3rd and 3rd and 8s, they'll go and they'll run it. They just trust these running backs so much.
First down now from the 25. Curtis pass is caught. Nice float over the middle and a pickup of 14 by Stephen Hacker, who continues to cook.
Well, typically as an offensive coordinator, you don't want to send two wide receivers in the same area, but this just happened to really work out for them. And in some cases, that second wide receiver can become an instant blocker for you. Not in that case, as the number 44 there, the tight end Robert Garrett had already moved past where the ball was going to go. But just a terrific slant play there, running it behind their tight end.
Curtis has completed only 5 passes. 4 of them have gone to Stephen Hacker. From the 12, floats it over the middle, nobody home. Looking for Hacker again. He was trying to dive across the middle of the field. Gary Clem had the coverage. Funk was there as well.
Yeah, and actually surprised we didn't see a flag on that play. I really thought the defender impeded the receiver's route right there. That's why we see a diving receiver and the ball so far ahead of him. I just think that I think it was Clem. They're just kind of got in his way. But they're calling incidental contact, so no flag.
4 catches so far for Hacker, 1 for Garrett. No targets for either Cade Stevens or Lauren Percoco. 2nd down and 10 from the 12. 4 wides, and the tailback is Williams. Curtis has time. Over the middle, pass is caught for a gain of 8 or so. Make it 7, and that is Robert Garrett Jr. Or check it, there's Lauren Percoco with her first catch of the game.
Well, and you mentioned it. We hadn't seen a target for her yet, and then they bring out an ace quads formation that actually puts the tight ends on the outside like 2 wide receivers, and there she comes in on the dig route and gets her first reception of the game.
32 combined receptions for the 2 Toro tight ends through 3 weeks, and now 2 through the first quarter plus for them here today. 3rd and 3. They'll stretch it to Williams. He tries to spin, but Portland was ready for it. Bob Funk comes up and makes the play. Robert Brawler was there too. They tried to run it to Williams on 3rd down, but Portland said no.
I think we both came away last week impressed with this Fleet defense, and despite the big run that they allowed from Jason Williams there in the first quarter, we know them to be a stout and tough defense, especially against the run. They're starting to show why now.
They were that way all season last year, despite being a team full of rookies, and obviously, and of their first ever season in the SFL, they were great against the run. Their defense led them all season long. Sicario for the short field goal from about 23 yards, and he knocks it through. He's now 7 of 8 on this season. Missed only 1 field goal last year in his rookie season. A first-round pick for the Toros last season as a kicker. They knew that they wanted him. 19th overall. He joins his elder brother Nacho, the standout corner for this Toro defense. Obviously, both of these 2 teams had plenty of first-round picks. We see kind of an underrated battle, I guess, today. The last year's first overall pick versus last year's second overall pick, David Horrell and Bernard Patterson, respectively. A lot of high draft capital being used for both of these teams last year, obviously, as they tried to build their first ever roster. Now, Portland will get the ball back trailing 10-0. How does Matt South and company try to engineer some better offense?
Well, we really haven't seen them establish Ezekiel Love, and that's usually their number 1 priority. Clearly, they want to try and jumpstart this passing game, which has been anemic so far this year. And we've seen Matt South make some really deep plays. He just hadn't got the protection in the pocket. I see them continuing to try and get their passing game going.
Ezekiel Love, 2nd in the SFL in carries, entering action today. Risky pass from South, tipped away, incomplete. Looking for Vandelay on an out route, and it's knocked to the ground by Adam Leach.
Yeah, and Adam Leach is a dangerous man to throw to. This is a guy that has 23 tackles already, an interception, and a defensive touchdown on the year, and he's just a rookie, 10th overall pick in the first round. So, a very talented rookie, and I don't know how much you'd want to test.
That defensive touchdown came last week in Fort Worth's win over Tulsa to move them to 2-1. They are on a 2-game winning streak. Portland, of course, losing last week after picking up a win themselves in week 2. They'll check it down to Ezekiel Love here. He makes the catch. We mentioned this earlier. All these stats are entering action today, so this even counts all the games that were played across the SFL yesterday. Even with all those games in the books, Ezekiel Love was still 2nd in the SFL in total carries at 83 coming into today, but only 5 catches before today, and now he's already up to 3 or 4 catches from Matt South, who does not complete a whole lot of passes. They are really a run-first team, and they've tried to change their script today. 3rd and 9, deep drop. South bombs it down the right sideline, tipped and picked off. It hit a couple of bodies and went right into the hands of Adam Leach, who has an interception for the 2nd straight week. Risky pass does not pay off for Matt South.
And the volleyball drills helping Fort Worth, it appears, as they tip this ball back to Leach, and he catches it perfectly there. As it shows in the replay. Great job by the guys in the truck. But for Matt South, it's an interception. It's a bad mark on his record, but it is essentially a punt for them. That was such a deep pass, and he had such a deep drop back the fact that they are testing the Toros deep, I think, is a good sign for them.
They were a lot more aggressive last week against Vancouver, yes, in a game that they were trailing, but South did throw 3 picks. As Curtis back with the ball, throws over the middle, and Robert Garrett has the catch for a gain of 9. Through 2 weeks, South only had 1 touchdown against only 1 interception, so he had to throw it a lot more than he was used to over the first 2 weeks. Last week, ended up throwing 3 picks, and now he already has 1 pick to his record today. These 2 quarterbacks, as we mentioned, 1 combined touchdown pass through 6 combined games in this season. Curtis bullets it, another good pass, and a diving catch is made this time by Robert Garrett Jr. He pulls up the 10-gallon hat, lays out, and makes a nice grab.
I mean, is there another team in the league that relies so heavily on their tight end? And is there a tight end in this league that can make an athletic catch like that? I mean, a complete layout on an all slants route, and he completely lays out in the middle of the field and brings it in. That's a 6'7", 268-pounder making that athletic play. Is there any reason not to think why they made him the number 1 receiving option?
Garrett had a standout season last year in his first year with Fort Worth with Xander Gold as the quarterback. As Curtis hit as he throws, they say he got the pass away as he was sent flying to the ground by Gary Burney.
And if I'm the coaching staff of Portland, I'm looking that over. That could be I don't know. How did he get that pass away would be my question. Did he just flick it downward as he was falling? I don't know. I don't know why that is not considered a sack there.
I find myself asking the same question, but no challenge coming up from Mel Davis and company. Curtis floats it right sideline, caught again, and another pickup for Stephen Hacker, who's taken down right on the 10-yard line by Funk.
And it's that corner route again. They love it. They like what they're seeing out of this defense. They're going no huddle, Tim.
5:40 left in the first half. Fort Worth up 10-0. Curtis floats it top of the screen, caught by Percoco, and she's wrenched down for a gain of 2. Nice rallying tackle.
Yeah, and they sent Hacker back on that corner route again. I suspect they're going to do it again here to try and get him in the corner of the end zone.
2 tight ends to the top of the screen, 2 wide receivers to the bottom of the screen. Curtis takes his time, floats it over the middle, caught by Cade Stevens, his first catch of the game, and he's taken down just short of the goal line.
Is this going to be Curtis's first touchdown pass here in the SFL? Let's see.
He does not have one through 3 weeks. He will toss it to the top of the screen, and there it is. First SFL touchdown pass for Cameron Curtis. First receiving touchdown for Lauren Percoco, and Fort Worth extends the lead in this second quarter.
And it's just Percoco just going out just one-on-one with the cornerback. Cornerback isn't even in the play. And the 6'8" Curtis laying the ball out perfectly for Percoco to inch your way past the touchdown marker there.
And that was the play they ran on 1st and goal, picked up a couple, and they came over the middle and got Cade Stevens on 2nd and goal. First catch for Stevens, 2nd catch for Percoco. Then they go right back to the well, the play they used on 1st down. It works from the goal line. Derek Majors, as you pointed out, a corner, could not catch up to the tight end Percoco at 6'7", 260, and they link up for the first time in the SFL. Some firsts for both sides. The first passing touchdown that Fort Worth has scored this year, like we said. Jason Williams had done all of the damage on the ground, 4 rushing touchdowns, and of course a defensive touchdown that came last week from Leach, like we mentioned earlier. So Fort Worth now on to a 17-0 lead. This offense has been looking good over the last couple of possessions. They won pretty handily last season at home, and they're up big on the road here with 5:05 left in regulation. 1 other game still to play here in the SFL here in week 4 out of 12. Over on the SFL's Twitch page, we'll give you some updates as we go along here. Houston against Las Vegas. That is a pretty solid matchup in the Hyenas with a 7-0 lead. You can find the SFL on Twitch, twitch.tv/SimulationFL. Join Chris Curtis and Cameron Irvine for the call of that one over from Las Vegas. Here in Portland, the Fleet trailing 17-0, trying to get their offense untracked. It's been a slow boil for them this season, and Ezekiel Love on the carry, spins around and picks up 3.
And it's starting to become a battle of quarterbacks here, although we've seen Jason Williams take control. But the quarterback play specifically for Portland has been so important here. Matt South, 7 of 12, 58% completion rate, 1 interception, no touchdowns as of yet. Only 1 touchdown on the season so far.
You just saw his graphic pop up there, a quarterback rating of less than 30. Cameron Curtis over 105. South's pass is batted away by Love. It was in his hands, and he sent it forward like a setter. More volleyball stats coming up, and Love couldn't handle it.
Well, I mean, that's what happens when you try to use running backs as receivers who are not maybe necessarily built to be that. Certainly trying to open up their passing game by getting the running back more involved, but you also, you're not throwing to a typical receiver. You're throwing to a running back, and those kind of mishaps can happen.
That was never his MO as a tailback in the minor leagues, where he was one of the best in his class 2 minor league seasons ago. 3rd and 7 for South, batted away and dropped. Could have been picked by Blake Prine, would have been the first of his SFL career. It hit a couple of bodies and sails through the hands. Matt South dodges a bullet.
Well, the Fleet are absolutely fluttering right now and probably just begging to get into halftime. Let's go in. Let's reset. Let's get our coaches to come up with a new plan for us. This is going. Let's use the pun. This is going south really quickly for them.
I was wondering when that one would come up.
And Fort Worth has all the momentum here, and boy, it'd be devastating if Fort Worth is able to score before halftime.
They will have plenty of time to do so. 4:20 left in the first half, and a high punt, a good one from Birkin. The return man, Alexander, will try to bring it back up. We saw him make 1 or 2 good punt returns in this game. Not this time, and Fort Worth will start from the 36. Visit the all-new SFL League website at www.simulationfl.net for info on how to create a player to join our community, the league, and the teams that play in it. Links to apparel, helmets, and a comprehensive history of the SFL. It's over 1,400 total games, and it's thousands of players who have hit the virtual field. The SFL, we put the fan in fantasy. Curtis bullets it over the middle on first down, and Kate Stevens has his second catch of the ball game out across midfield and a pickup of 15.
Well, look, Cameron Curtis has an excellent feel in the middle of the field, and here he actually throws his receiver open. He throws it to where the receiver is going to be past the defender. That is some great things that we're seeing from this young man. And obviously in the game where he scores his first passing touchdown, he's starting to show some of the reasons why they love him so much here in Fort Worth.
Baseline numbers through 3 games for Cameron Curtis weren't very good, as they'll give it to Williams on first down. He barrels up the middle and picks up 5, but some of the auxiliary numbers were pretty good. I mean, this is not an auxiliary number, but through 3 games, completion percentage, 75%. That is fantastic no matter who you ask, and it was 6th best in the SFL through 3.5 weeks, counting games that happened yesterday. 12th best quarterback rating, despite the fact that he didn't have any touchdowns through 3 games. So didn't pass it a whole lot through 3 weeks, but he's thrown it a whole lot more here today. 18 pass attempts that will go to Williams on second down, and not a whole lot doing for him there. Nuevo is off the pile once again.
Well, the only stat that matters is the win-loss column, and they've got 2 wins and 1 loss this season, despite Curtis not bringing his A game. Just imagine what this team will be when he starts doing so, like we're seeing tonight.
And we've seen in this league, Steven, since the minor leagues have existed, starting a little less than a calendar year ago, minor league success for an individual player does not necessarily correlate to major league success, as Curtis is having plenty of success today. Another great link up over the middle. I think that's Robert Garrett Jr. on the catch. Nope, check it. It's Percoco. That's gotten me a couple of times. 47, not 44 in the gold. Either way, another first down for Fort Worth. But just because Curtis was the gunslinger in the minor leagues and was one of the passing leaders, touchdown leaders, quarterback leaders when he was the quarterback for the Annapolis Navigators, doesn't mean that he's going to have immediate success. And there's a bad sign for Fort Worth as Williams drops the ball, but the Toros fall on it. Somehow they save the day. That's the left tackle, Tex Rogers, that saves Jason Williams-Bacon.
Oh, when it's your day, it's your day. Not only does the fumble cause the potential turnover, but it actually gives the Toros 6 yards. So it makes it 2nd and 4. They get to advance the ball as if the fumble never happened, and everything's just going their way.
Gain of 3 for Williams, gain of 3 for Rogers, his first career carry on that fumble recovery. 2-minute warning in the Shipyard in Portland, Oregon. The Fleet trailing 17-0 on LSN and FTF. Happy to have you with us here tonight, live from Portland, alongside Stephen Mullinax. I'm Tim Hackett. Dwayne Schindler and Zach Caldor holding it down in the stat truck. Fort Worth on a strong run. They're up 17-0, trying to add to it. They'll give it to Williams on second down, and he once again has nowhere to go. I'm surprised by this, Stephen. Chris Komisak is one of the most used fullbacks in the SFL. Some teams use them a lot, some teams do not. Fort Worth is a team that likes to use its fullback. We haven't seen him get involved at all in the offense so far.
Comisac can blame Comisac. He's the offensive coordinator, so he's deciding how this offense is used, and I guess he's decided to phase his own player out.
Sometimes it works that way. 3rd and 4. Curtis has a man wide open, top of the screen, and a nice throw. Bob Funk saves a touchdown, and another great link up from Curtis, this time to Cade Stevens, who's come alive in the second quarter.
Well, this Portland defense is going to have to figure out how to cover those corner routes. They have absolutely been killed by that, and they're allowing this young quarterback really to carve them up and dissect them. And now on the edge of scoring once again before half.
They'll give it to Williams, stretches it outside, lowers the shoulder, and he stood up at the goal line by Mel Davis. A great last-second tackle by the veteran middle linebacker, Khalil Thomas, who had a breakout game last game, is in on the stop as well. 2nd down.
If I am Fort Worth, I am calling number 34's number once again, maybe even on 3rd.
They will give it up the middle. It is William. Check it. It is Comisac this time who gets the carry right on cue. And Bernard Patterson, we mentioned him earlier, last year's 2nd overall pick, one of the best defensive tackles in the league, makes the play on 2nd down.
If you ever wondered if the play callers could hear us in our commentary, there's an example right there. Still 3rd and goal here on the Portland 1. I'm still going Jason Williams, the former fullback. He's done so much for you today. I'm giving it to him.
Having Comisac as an option, though, adds a lot of variety and variability to this offense. They will throw it, and Curtis is taken down for the 2nd time. The Portland defense makes a goal line stand, and that'll force a field goal attempt as the Toros take their 2nd time out. Another sack for Patterson.
And Patterson, now we talked about him leading the league in sacks last week, and it makes an absolutely beautiful play here because Jason Williams was open in the flat. That would have been another touchdown for Curtis. But Patterson had other plans, racking up 5.5 sacks in total for going into this game. Records his 6th here, and what a time to do it.
And crazy start for him, the 2nd-year man from Norfolk, Virginia, having a great sophomore season. Sicario on for his 2nd chip shot field goal, and he knocks it through. So Taco is alive and well here on Sunday, good from 23 and good from 21, and the Toros lead now 20-0 with 37 seconds left.
Oh, you're looking for any scrap of hope if you're Portland at this point, and the fact that your defense had a goal line stand, held them to a field goal. You know, you've got to cling on to that going into halftime, unless maybe they can pull off a little bit of a miracle here and get some points on the board with just over 30 seconds left.
We'll see how aggressive they decide to be. They do have all 3 timeouts and a solid kick returner in Ben Warner to help lead the charge. He will get Portland to the 27. So we'll ask you, the longtime coordinator in this league, Stephen Mullinax, how aggressive would you be, knowing that Mount South has not traditionally been very aggressive? They may not have the big bombastic wide receivers that maybe some other teams do, but you have 30 seconds and 3 timeouts. How aggressive does Portland get?
I don't think you get aggressive at all. I mean, you can't risk throwing a pick 6 on this side of the field. It would just bomb your opportunity there in the second half and make it even worse. But let's see what they do.
They will throw it on 1st down, and a risky throw from South again. There was nobody there. He was looking for Gene Valentine, the Haitian native, over the center of the field. Sicario on the coverage.
And it's hard to blame them. Down 20, here you need a spark. You know you need something. You've scored 5 points in the last 6 quarters. You know that you need something. We've seen South go deep before. If he would have connected on one of those, that would likely have been a touchdown. So, I could commend them for still trying.
Send 2 wide receivers out. Very different formation here on 2nd down and 10 from their own 27. Quick drop from South. That's another risky throw. That's tipped a couple of times, and it could have been picked once again. That time, Ben Stone, the 2nd-year free safety, you could have had it.
Yeah, and if you're, Portland, you don't like what you see here. This is just all falling apart right in front of your eyes. And look, it only takes one big play to get them back in it. But how many bad plays do you got to go through to get to that big play is the question.
Move to the second quarter in Las Vegas with the hometown Fury trailing Houston 14-7. Find that game on the SFL switch page. 3rd and 10 here from Portland. South will throw again, and he's taken down. The Fort Worth defense was ready for it, and that is the worst-case scenario, save for a pick 6 perhaps, Stephen, because now, thanks to that sack from Catherine Horrell, her 2nd of the game, Fort Worth is going to get the ball back with about 15 seconds.
Yeah, and you know, when they go into halftime, at some point when they do go into halftime, Tim, they've got to figure out a way to block Catherine Horrell. I mean, Catherine Horrell has been devastating into the backfield. She's been in the backfield more than your quarterback has been. I mean, it's crazy how much penetration she's been able to get on this offensive line. You got to correct that, but that's just a laundry list of things that Portland's going to go into halftime needing to correct.
You don't see the success that she had as a rookie defensive tackle in this league very often. Double-digit sacks and an all-star caliber season. Off to a slow start this season, but now she's got 2 sacks her first 2 of the season. So let's flip the question around. No timeouts and a 20-0 lead. You have a quarterback that has shown the ability to throw it deep. You have a top-tier wide receiver in Stephen Hacker. How aggressive does Fort Worth get here from the 44?
Well, you've got a young quarterback with a strong arm. Why not try to throw this one and bomb this one down the field and see what happens?
That is exactly what they will set up for. No timeouts and 11 seconds left. 56 yards away from the end zone. Ooh. Curtis floats it deep down the right sideline. Floating catch attempt is made by Fort Worth, and all of that is to say Curtis airmailed his target, and it was right into the hands of the free safety Damon Owens, his first pick of the season.
But, Tim, my goodness, did you see this throw by the kid? Floating out to the right. He bombs it 60 yards on a dot. And, if Curtis is just a little bit faster, that's a Hacker, that's a touchdown. How many quarterbacks in this league can we say make those kind of throws on the run, one-footed, 60 yards? Man, what an arm that kid has.
You make a great point. I mean, he gave Hacker a chance in 1-on-3 coverage. There's nobody else wearing gold anywhere near that ball, and Curtis still gave him a chance. Owens says, thank you very much for the pick. South will check it down to Ezekiel Love, and that is going to bring us to the end of this first half. Time will tick away. Fort Worth had the opportunity, like we said, because of that defensive stand courtesy of Catherine Horrell. They couldn't take advantage, but the Toros still lead 20-0 after 1 half of play here in Portland. Comprehensive performance from the Toros in that first half, Stephen. They score first. They score on a couple of straight possessions. They get a couple of different looks. Cameron Curtis gets his first touchdown pass. All Fort Worth after 1 half.
Yeah, in every single way that you can possibly think of, the Toros have been winning this game in the first half. It's certainly not impossible for Portland to get back in it, and only down 20-0, but certainly if you're the coaching staff of Portland, you haven't liked what you've seen. Obviously, they've put in some plays to try and get their passing game going. We've mentioned the last place passing offense in the league. They've tried to utilize Ezekiel Love. They went to Truzman. They've got their tight end involved. They've been trying to spread the ball out. But it's been no bueno so far, and ended up in a goose egg here in the first half for them, as just the Toros have come out on fire, specifically first in the running game and then in the passing game, something they haven't been able to do against a team really all season. They're able to do it against this Portland defense that we've seen to be really good and stout. So that just tells you about the kind of trajectory of these two teams. As you mentioned, they're both in their sophomore seasons here in the league, and we're seeing different trajectories from each one. Fort Worth coming up with 2 wins, leading 20-0 here in halftime, and Portland continuing to struggle.
2 key things that stood out to me in that first half. The stat, 40 total yards of offense for Portland through 2 quarters. They entered the action today, last in the league in yards per game and one of the last in the league in points per game. But the other side is Fort Worth gets it done in a couple of ways. They have some long drives, 2 chip shot field goals, 1 mega long touchdown run from Jason Williams, some great looking passes like this one from Cameron Curtis on the last second Hail Mary. Their offense was able to do a couple of different things, and to me that just shows how much more mature the Fort Worth offense is through a season in the 3rd in the SFL, because they have so many veterans like Stephen Hacker on the offense that Portland simply doesn't possess.
Yeah, right. And the one thing that Portland does possess, Ezekiel Love. And they've gone away from him to try to get their passing game going. Get this, Tim. He's only carried it 4 times in the first half. This is a guy that is 2nd in the league in carries coming into this game. And as you mentioned, through all games, he had the 2nd most carries. He's had 4 through the first half.
Averages nearly 30 carries per game, more like 27 over his first 3. And you're right, only 4 carries through 2 quarters. Portland will get the ball first to start out here in the second half. The time for a comeback is now. We've seen this before for the Fleet. Their defense was solid. They gave up the one big play to Williams, as Ben Warner has that kick return. But other than that, their defense was pretty good in that first half. Their defense keeps them in the game. That was kind of the mantra for them all last season for a 2-10 debut year. Their defense kept them in games. Their linebacker core was excellent, but they had to remake some of their defense, especially their linebacker core, over the offseason. Their defense has stayed strong. Can they get their offense going? That's a way to start. Sal checks it down to Love, and Ezekiel Love breaks out a gain of about 20.
And this is what you want to see out of your superstar player. We didn't see that there in the first half, but here, the nice little screen route, one-on-one with the linebacker. Linebacker can't bring Love down, and he gets an extra 20 yards because of it.
Introduce you to the Fort Worth defense, because we had not been able to there in the first half. We like to do that here in the SFL. You've gotten to hear from most of them so far, but honestly, the Portland offense hasn't been out there so long that you have not heard from everybody on this gold-clad team. We'll tell you about them as we go along here on this drive. First down for Portland from the 45. From the I formation, they'll stack it to the top to give to Love, and he loses the ball as he gets hit, and Fort Worth picks it up. The Toros were able to recover a fumble on the offensive side, and now they pick it up on the defensive side. Gary Marks has the fumble recovery. J.L. Browning was in the area as well, and a bad break for Portland to start the half.
And when it rains, it pours. You get a great play off the screen pass from Love, and then he gives it up there on the fumble. Nice job by J.L. Browning actually getting that ball out of Love's hands. And, boy, Tim, this is not the way you want to start the second half if you're Portland.
Browning on the force, Marks on the recovery. A pair of sophomores making good here in their second season for the Toros. Those introductions will have to wait, as Curtis now with the ball for the first time in the second half, and he links up with Robert Garrett Jr. for a gain of 6. Once, like we said, one of the most electric tight ends last season, playing with Xander Gold, a guy who was born to play for the Fort Worth Toros, I thought, coming in last season just because of his name and the Fort Worth color scheme. They brought him in to be the veteran signal caller to lead a new offense, not a young offense, with two pseudo-veterans like Stephen Hacker and Cade Stevens and Robert Garrett, all guys who have been in the league for multiple years, but their first year playing together. Now Curtis, in his first year as a quarterback, throws it over the middle, looking for Coco that time, I think, and Sean Allen had the coverage.
Well, another target for a tight end. And let me tell you what, you mentioned Robert Garrett Jr., and we've talked about Percoco. They have been on the field for every single offensive play so far in this game, and that's unusual for two tight ends to always be on the field, but that's how the Toros structured their roster. They only have 2-star wide receivers. They've invested money into their 2 tight ends. They want them to be on the field at all times, so they were only running plays that feature those tight ends for the most part.
And ironically, that was a pass targeted for their number 3 tight end, Austin Carpenter. So they had all 3 on the field as they go over the middle again, and that's caught by Cade Stevens. He continues to heat up, and another first down for the Toros.
Yeah, and that quick slant route, successful once again. You know, Tim, you can just feel this quarterback, his confidence building with every single throw. And I think that touchdown really took the weight off of his shoulders. We're going to see a lot better performance from him.
Another catch for Cade Stevens, who had only 7 in his first 3 games this season. He's up to 4 or so today. Curtis bullets it, passes caught wide open, accelerates, touchdown Toros. They extend the lead. They turn the fumble into 6. Stephen Hacker has his first touchdown of the season.
And it's that dreaded corner route once again. They have found something here in this Portland defense. Trust me, the teams that have Portland on the schedule, they are studying that play and breaking it down as we speak. They have found a weakness, and they have exploited it over and over again. That's not easy to do here in this league. Give Fort Worth a lot of credit.
Bob Funk has been everywhere defensively for Portland. We have seen him have to come up and try to rally to make plays on both ends of the field. You pointed it out, that lofting throw in the first quarter that Curtis linked up with Stephen Hacker early. Funk had to clean it up on the left side of the offense, right side of the defense. That time, Funk had to try to clean it up on the right side of the offense, left of the defense, against the cornerback, Chris Stock. He came in on a zone coverage, and Hacker just exploited it. And Funk, there was no way he was going to catch up with a guy that has over 5,500 career receiving yards like Hacker does.
And we've talked about it before. These teams that we're playing, they're smart. they're going to play the plays that are most effective. They're going to keep playing them until you stop them. So until you can figure out a way defensively to stop that particular corner route or that particular formation or play, it's just going to keep running it to try and exploit the weaknesses.
Benjamin Warner in his first year playing for Portland, the former Chicago Wildcat, now the kick returner this season for the Fleet, out to the 23-yard line. We mentioned this is kind of one of the differences in how these two teams were constructed last season. Both had to build entirely from the ground up, obviously with brand new rosters. Both teams had to draft heavily. They had a ton of draft picks. They had the first and second overall picks. Like we said, you got to look at David Horrell, is back to the camera, the first overall pick last year for Fort Worth. But the Toros were able to bring in comparatively more veterans, established players than Portland was able to last season, as Ezekiel Love gets nothing on the carry, J.L. Browning on the stop, and Stephen Hacker is one of those guys, and that's what happens when your executive committee, your founding staff, includes league veterans like Stephen Hacker and Nacho Sicario, and to an extent Robert Garrett Jr. These are known commodities that you just bring with you. You add in a couple of other veterans like Cade Stevens and his pal E.K. Vincent to try to build up to try to flesh out both sides of the ball, and you've already got the makings of a really solid team. As South's pass is caught by Love, he sheds away E.K. Vincent, and they will give Ezekiel Love forward progress right to the 34-yard line.
Well, that screen pass is about the only thing that's been working here for Portland. They go to it once again, and the blocker actually leaves Love out to dry here a little bit as he passes up the obvious block and goes further down the field. But I guess he could be just trusting that Love's going to break that first tackle, which he does. We've seen him do it before, and that blocking helps him get first down further down the field. But they've got to start getting – we haven't talked about Art Vandelay enough. We haven't talked about Valentine enough, Warner enough. Where are these wide receivers, Tim?
I don't know how many catches they have total. Vandelay has 2. That's it for those 3 guys total. They will check it down again to Love. Love picks up about 6 before he's taken down earlier. I got the last play wrong. Incidentally, David Horrell was who Love shook out of, not E.K. Vincent. Now is about as good a time as any to introduce you to the Fort Worth defense. Tried to last time before the fumble recovery from Gary Marks, who is one of the defensive ends for the Toros. Joey Schwint is the other. Catherine Horrell, you've gotten to know her pretty well, is the defensive tackle. A trio of linebackers, David Horrell and J.L. Browning, the sophomores, and the 7th-year veteran, E.K. Vincent on the outside, as Love is blown up the middle. Great one-on-one tackle by J.L. Browning, who only had 9 stops in 3 games coming into today, overshadowed by the veteran Vincent and the former first overall pick David Horrell. He is showing out today.
Yeah, and going up against that power eye with the extra blocker in the backfield doesn't matter, as Browning able to suss through the traffic and find the guy with the ball perfectly for that make this 3rd down.
3rd and 4. South will flip it out to Love again. Love accelerates, gets through the shoestring tackle of Horrell, and picks up the first down. Vincent again able to clean it up. We mentioned earlier Fort Worth constructs their team 6-star defensive backs. Aiden Davis, Nacho Sicario, 2 veterans on the outside, along with Adam Leach, the rookie, a couple of sophomores, Ben Stone and Delaney Nash, and a rookie, Blake Prine, in the secondary. Now you're all caught up. That is the Fort Worth contingent. They're 2-1 on the season, trying to move to 3-1 and stay firmly atop the top half of the league table. South under pressure, hit as he throws, flows it up, and somehow it's caught by Gene Valentine. What a way for him to pull in his first catch of the ball game. It will go down for a loss of 1, and physically, I have no idea how that play was made.
Yeah, Valentine just boxed out the defender and just wanted the ball more, and you would love to see that down the field instead of behind the line of scrimmage. But a catch is a catch, and whatever gives your quarterback confidence helps. So let's mark that as a reception and go on.
We'll go on the ground to Love again, runs right into J.L. Browning. David Horrell is there to help clean it up, and no gain for Love. They maybe give him a gain of 1. Horrell leading the team in tackles, no surprises, as the middle linebacker, 26 coming into today. That's top 25 in the SFL. Also a sack, 2 tackles for loss, and 2 pass deflections. Last year's number 1 overall pick, I like to call him the patriarch, the founding father of the Horrell family, and a friend of the program here on the SFL's broadcast network. 3rd down and 10, South deep drop. Ball it's in, and it's picked off once again. Another turnover for Matt South, going for Valentine one-on-one, and it's taken away by Aiden Davis, his 4th interception of the season.
Yeah, the 6th most interceptions in the league. And here, Davis just runs the route better than the receiver. The receiver wasn't even looking for the ball. and it was almost as if it was intended for Davis. That's how well the cornerback ran that route. But yeah, once again, Portland pressed to try and find something deep. They haven't been able to find anything deep, barely been able to find anything short, haven't been able to run the ball. This Toros defense has been awesome tonight.
They have been fantastic, no question about it. No blemishes on their record. Curtis over the middle, knocked away, and good defense that time by Portland. Mel Davis was in the area. So was Bob Funk. Big surprise against Stephen Hacker.
Yeah, but I don't think that was a bad pass, a decision to pass that ball, even though it was in the midst of 3 black jerseys. The fact is, all those jerseys had their heads not looking towards the ball. They were looking towards the receiver. The receiver really was the only one to have a chance at that ball, just couldn't bring it down.
See Hacker's numbers today, 6 catches for just shy of 100 yards and a touchdown. Curtis has 2 passing touchdowns today. He did not have any prior to today. Williams on the carry, had a big first half, and he picks up 7 on the ground, hit from behind by Sean Allen.
Yeah, and I would expect it's we talk about Miller time. Well, it's Williams time right now. I think this is one of those times where you want to salt away the clock. Yeah, I know it's in the third quarter. I know we're still got 5 minutes left here, but Williams has run so great tonight. Why not just continue to ride him at this point?
Half of his yards came on that 1 touchdown carry, but it has been a good day for him there as Curtis goes down again. The Portland defense has gotten to Cam Curtis a couple of times. That brings up 4th down and very long. The offensive line giving Cam Curtis no time that time.
Yeah, and signs of life. We needed that. We saw Portland come up with a great goal line stand right at the end of the first half. We're seeing here continue that defensive line is trying to give the Fleet, as many chances as they can. They haven't given up on this game, and they're just trying to give their offense as many opportunities as they can. Just a great play right there to stop a surging Toros team.
I think that was Robert Brar on the sack. Zach Haldorf, our statistician, agrees with me. That would be his first sack, his second to TFL of the season. Week 5 begins next Saturday on the 11 Sports Network and the FTF Twitch channel with a battle of former unbeatens in the Pacific Division as Vancouver meets Los Angeles in California. Also, Atlanta visits Jacksonville, plus live look-ins on St. Louis and D.C. and Las Vegas and Arizona. Coverage starts at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The SFL on 11 Sports football season is only just beginning. Matt South going to keep it. You don't see that very often in the SFL. A designed quarterback run, and he picks up 9. One of their best offensive plays of the game.
I'm loving it. Matt South taking the ball down, taking it himself. Hey, you know what? Sometimes when nothing else is working, you got to go unconventional ways. Why not? Field wide open in front of him as the offensive line pushes all the defensive linemen out away from him, leaving the middle of the field wide open. Get yourself 9 free yards.
The last 10 months have not taught us as a society anything else. It's how to adapt and innovate. Matt South doing it there. Now that's a little bit more of a traditional play. Ezekiel Love, upright guard, picks up 2 and a first down. David Horrell on the stop.
Oh, it's taught me the importance of getting food delivered, but that's just me.
Someone's got to do it.
There you go.
Love they try to get him untracked, and last game against Vancouver, 20 carries for 60 yards, about par for the course for Love as they try to break him into his first full-time SFL running back job. He picks up 2 there. We mentioned this last week, Stephen, but even though it's been a slow day at the office for Love today, as Delaney Nash makes that tackle, having him in this Portland offense has been such a boon. It hasn't manifested in any points this game. It didn't result in any touchdowns last week for the Fleet, but having him just as an option gives their offense a dimension that they did not have last season with John Shrewsman, who is a good guy and has been a part of the SFL for a couple of years and is a very positive dude. That's kind of his MO as Horrell makes the stop on Love after a gain of 1, but he didn't have too many positive run plays as the feature back for the Fleet last year. He's back this year as the fullback to kind of bring that mentality, but they have a stud feature back now in Love to try to help buoy this passing offense and try to get Matt South going. He will try to do so here over the middle, intended for Warner, and it's knocked away by Blake Prine, who's had his hands all over this game. 4th down.
Well, in talking about Love, I mean, I can't imagine without his impact in the game that we've had so far here, even the small impact that it's been, without it, they would have been totally lifeless. So, and let's also not forget, not only is this a growing team that's continuing to progress and get better, so is Love. Love is only going to get better. So, yeah, it's so important to have your centerpiece on a team that you know that you can go to and rely on. Portland certainly has that. They just got to build around him.
And you know that I haven't talked to him about it specifically, but since he was a running back in the SFLM in the first year that the minor leagues existed, and not to mention the fact that he was one of the best at his position in their minor leagues for the SFLM champion Madison Lynx in the first season of the minor leagues, I would assume that he wanted to play running back at some point here in the pros, decided to take on a job as a starting free safety last year for the Tulsa Desperados, got his chance here in the offseason to become a running back, which I can only assume is what he wanted. Same deal for Cameron Curtis, who now gets to be a quarterback like he was in the minor leagues. It's not impossible to change positions here in the SFL like it might be pretty difficult to do in other leagues, but Williams picks up 3 there on first down. But for Love, and now similarly for Cameron Curtis, they wait their turn, they bide their time, they get some progression in the SFL because, as you know better than me, Stephen, that is paramount to success in the SFL. They get progression, and now they get to move in as a feature role in the position that they always wanted to help give themselves better opportunities for success. Portland showing blitz on 2nd and 7. Fort Worth will hand it off, and Jason Williams is blown up. This Portland defensive front has been really solid in this game. Williams picks up 3 on first down, loses it on 2nd down, and Robert Brouwer has another stop.
Yeah, going back and talking about, these young players and position switching, everybody comes into this league. A lot of people come in this league wanting to play one of the premier positions, quarterback, running back. But the fact is, just like in the NFL, as we see a pick there, the interception.
Curtis throws it over the right seam, intended for Stephen Hacker, and Portland has the takeaway that they were looking for. If that's Sean Allen, it sure is his 6th interception of the season. What a play. Oh, check it. No, Sean Allen cracked down, and Chris Stock came out of nowhere. What a play. Sure looked like Allen had it, but Stock said, I'll take that one. That's his 2nd.
Yeah, that's just a great defensive call when you can get 2 of your defenders in the air, and both of them have a chance to make an interception there. Just one took it away from the other one. But look, this is the spark that we've been needing. We've needed to see something out of Portland. We saw some early successful screen passes from Love, but that's been about it. That interception might turn the tide a bit here.
They get a sack on 3rd down from Robert Brouwer on their last possession. Now a pick on 3rd down on this one. South to check it down to Ezekiel Love, and he picks up 5. We mentioned this earlier, Stephen. Just 5 catches for Ezekiel Love through the first 3 games of the season. For Portland, he's now got 7 in this game alone.
Well, this is what Portland has done. Essentially, they have made his running attempts and shifted some of those into just receptions. So that's just basically a 5-yard run that was actually an reception. Yeah,
he's still getting his touches, but through a different medium, I suppose. It will go on the ground, and Browning makes a one-on-one tackle. He's been everywhere.
Let's go back and talk about the young players. You talked about Ezekiel Love and Cameron Curtis playing different positions in the league last year. At some point, you just got to get in where you fit in. And if you want to play one of the premier positions, there's not a lot of openings in those positions.
Sure.
People hold on to those positions as long as they can because they are premier positions in this league.
Love spinning through a tackle, gets a nice block from right guard Tim Jones, but he stopped inches short of the first down line. And I dare ask you, as they bring out I should have asked you, I guess. I would have asked you if they should go for it, but it looks like Portland is going to trot out David John.
No, they will. They will.
They did, and now they'll send him back. Is this time for the SFL bait and switch? They get Fort Worth to jump off sides. David Horrell makes the stop on John Trusman, a one-on-one tackle. Actually, it might have been Kevin Keene, the backup running back. Wow. It would have been close to a first down. It is Keene on the carry, his first of the game.
And they're going to get it because of the call anyway, but I'm not sure that I would run out the backup on a critical 4th down like that. I would want my guy, my biggest investment out there in Love to try and get that first down, but it worked either way.
Get Gary Marks to jump off sides, 99 in the gold. They get the first down from Kevin Keene and a fresh set of downs as we are done with 3 from the Shipyard. Portland on the move, trailing 27-0. This is the Simulation Football League on LSN and FTF. Thanks for joining us. Happy Sunday night. Happy Valentine's Day for you here across the SFL network. Tim Hackett and Stephen Mullinax with you as we start quarter number 4. Portland on the move just outside the red zone for the first time. The give to Ezekiel Love. He was born for this day, Stephen, and he picks up 3 on first down.
Yeah, and now Portland, for the first time tonight, I believe, is in the red zone, an opportunity to put points on the board, and that has obviously been a rare thing tonight, and you just hate to see them squander it. So need to see some consistency here. Wouldn't be surprised if they lean on Love pretty heavily.
You're right. This is their first time in the red zone all game. All their points last week came from them. They had fantastic field position. Can they capitalize this time? They will go back to Love. Love rumbles forward, picks up another gain of 3, and E.K. Vincent makes the tackle.
You know, no matter how much I'd love to see them go to one of these 81, 82, 83 receivers, the screen pass has been the most successful play that Portland has run all night. You know, and they're not necessarily in the formation to do that here. I think they're going to run. But the screen might work here.
Heavy set, 2 fullbacks, and Ezekiel Love is the tailback with 10 minutes left in regulation. They'll give it to Love, tries to stretch outside, and he has nowhere to go. Delaney Nash with a one-on-one tackle. That brings up 4th down.
Yeah, and the blocker there just stands there holding his hands. He just let the defender loose and gave Love absolutely no shot of making that first down.
Second-year strong safety from Amarillo, Texas, with a one-on-one stop. And now Portland will trot out David John, who is still perfect in his SFL career. Anthony Passo is the holder, and the lefty John sends it through from 30 yards out. Sophomore from St. Cloud, Minnesota, tacks on another one, and Portland cracks the scoreboard here in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, and I'm not so sure that was the right decision, not to just try to go for it there. There's 9 minutes left here in the 4th quarter. Obviously, you want to try to get points on the board where you can, but down 27, and you're really your only opportunity so far in the red zone to get, a touchdown, and they settle for a field goal.
Yeah, I mean, what do you have to lose at this point is the question that I would ask. As John boots it away, and Alexander will return from inside his own end zone. He's stopped up before he can get to the 20. Great special teams play from Portland. At that point, what do you have to lose? Your chances of coming back are slim, not out of the woods yet, of course, but the chances are slim, down 27-0, and instead you settle for a field goal. We thought they were going to do that earlier on the drive in the last play of the 3rd quarter. They elect to bring the offense out. They pick up the first down via the penalty. The next time they bring out the field goal kicker, it works. They get the 3 points, but how many more chances will Portland have on offense? Williams gets the carry on first down, spins right into the hit of Mel Davis.
To go back to that decision to kick the field goal, even if you don't make it on 4th down, at least you've pinned the Toros back, in the shadow of their old goalpost. Then your defense maybe has an opportunity to make a play, to try maybe like we've seen already in this second half to get an interception.
We saw Portland last week against Vancouver. They only scored 5 points, and like I mentioned a minute ago, all 5 of those points came when they were in plus territory as Williams picks up 3 on the ground, Allen on the stop. Their first points of the game came on a courtesy of a Mel Davis interception, got him inside the 25-yard line, and then 3 plays later they hit a field goal. And then later when Vancouver had the ball inside their own 3-yard line, they got a safety. So plus territory for their defense. There are only other points of the game after that David John field goal on their first offensive possession. Floating pass from Curtis, drops it in the bucket, and Stephen Hacker goes up and hauls it in. Funk makes the tackle, and Hacker over 100 on the game.
Well, like we talked about the confidence of this kid, and I don't think he would be making throws like this last week. I really do feel like he has grown in this game after following his first receiving thrown touchdown. And we're starting to see him throw the ball in smaller and smaller windows, and that just points directly to his confidence just going to the ceiling right now.
Right over top of the linebacker, Gary Klim, who had a great game last week for Portland against Vancouver. Couldn't do anything to stop that one. The Toros taking their time. Williams on the carry. Portland was ready for that one. They stacked the box, and we've seen that battle, number 34 against number 34 all game. Sean Allen makes the stop on Jason Williams, and Derwin Nuevo has been there as well. These 2 defensive ends for Portland have been extremely busy.
Yeah, we've called their names a lot now in this game, and they've seen a lot of action here. And been coming through, what has been a tough game so far for Portland. They have been shining stars.
There goes Williams again, picks up a couple on the right side. Mel Davis on the stop. And with all of these action from these defensive linemen, Stephen, the one thing that we haven't gotten to see is Gary Burney make a tackle on Jason Williams. The 2 guys from Tyler, Texas. They have not gotten to meet so far, and I was hoping we would get to see that Tyler Twosome get into a tussle so far here tonight. I haven't seen it. Third and 8, Curtis flings it out near side. Williams on the catch, accelerates, and he stopped a couple of yards short of the sticks. Nice one-on-one tackle from Khalil Thomas, who did not have any tackles through his first 2 weeks and then broke out for 7 last week.
Well, I wanted to talk about Tyler, Texas. They produce some great football players. Johnny Manziel, Patrick Mahomes, Earl Campbell, all come from Tyler, Texas.
I forgot we had our Texas football insider, Stephen Mullinax, on the broadcast. You topped me on that one. I did not know that. Fort Worth has plenty of Texas natives, guys from all over the state, including, of course, Stephen Hacker and Nacho Sicario, Fort Worth natives, which is why they wanted to create an SFL team in their home city. Of course, 2 other SFL teams based in the state of Texas. One of them in action right now, the Houston Hyenas, DeMont Simeon's club on the road against Las Vegas. That game in the second quarter. You see the score in the top left corner of your screen. That game can be found on the SFL's Twitch page, twitch.tv/Simulationfl, if you want to tune into that one down the stretch in the second quarter in Las Vegas. 6:40 left in regulation from here in Portland. The Fleet trailing in the fourth quarter, trying to pick up their second win of the season and their first ever win against Fort Worth. Another check down from South to Ezekiel Love, and David Horrell makes the stop.
Well, I think they've certainly found something here, making Love more of a receiving threat out of the backfield, but that needs to be balanced with, better opportunities for your actual wide receivers. We need to see them in the flow of the game, and we've seen, I think, just too much of Love as a receiver, and not enough maybe of this.
South will flip it out to John Trusman, who did not have any touches of any kind prior to today. Now he's got 3 catches, and that one goes for negative yardage. Another stop from David Horrell.
And again, we talked about the trio of Vandelay, Valentine, and Warner. 3 total receptions so far in this game. They've been targeted 11 times.
3 men from the Ottawa Cavalry that led that team, and Javier Vasquez all the way to the SFL Minor League Championship in Season 1. Not done a lot here, and another bullet pass from South into the hands of the defensive backs. Blake Prine has his first SFL interception, and now all 6 star defensive backs for the Toros have a takeaway through 4 games.
Just really continuing to watch the quarterback's eyes. Actually peels off the guy that he's covering to continue with the route of the receiver that he intercepted. Just perfect defense there, and what vision.
Fort Worth claim to fame, their code for success this season has been the takeaways. The number 1 turnover differential through 3.5 weeks of the SFL is they'll go on the ground to Jason Williams, +8 turnover differential through 3.5 weeks. Like we said today, Stephen, +2. They have given the ball up a couple of times. They saved a fumble from Jason Williams because of their left tackle, Tex Rogers. So they could have had 3 giveaways, but just 2 because of the 2 picks from Curtis. But they pick off South twice. They get a fumble recovery from Ezekiel Love once. And this Fort Worth defense, kind of underrated part of this team, I suppose, but they've been great all season. Curtis bullets it out of the hands, I think, of Cade Stevens. It was into double coverage, a risky needle thread attempt from Curtis. Comes to nothing.
How quickly Curtis is able to get rid of this ball almost as instantly as it touches his hands. He's got that wrist strength to throw that right into the breadbasket there. Cade Stevens kicking himself. He didn't come down with that one.
Yeah, Cade Stevens didn't catch it that time. It was right into his gullet, like you said, and Khalil Thomas then laid the lumber on him. He was not able to haul it in. Fort Worth once again in field goal range for Taco Sicario, famously one of the biggest kickers in the SFL, and he's got a pretty big leg as well from the 30. Curtis sidearm toss out to Jason Williams, spins and can't pick up the first down. One-on-one tackle again made by Shad Allen. And I said this in the minor leagues all season, Stephen, and you got to see a little bit of what I was thinking of last week against Vancouver. Again, minor league success for an individual player does not always correlate to major league success. We've seen that now through 2 seasons, but Shad Allen was great in the minor leagues. He is a great one-on-one tackler here for Portland and one of the best pieces of their team.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I mean, Shad Allen had really, I think, is a candidate for defensive MVP this year. His numbers are that good. And we talked about how this Fleet defense, how they've carried this team at times. And so we're looking at actually 2 teams whose defenses have carried them at times this season. And it's just worked out better for one than the other. But But yeah, I mean, we talked about also building blocks. You got Ezekiel Love on that offensive side. Well, you've got a terrific safety combo on the defensive side, and we're talking about foundational pieces. Those are three of them.
They had to build almost the entire defense, Portland did. They brought in some veterans in the linebacking core, three guys who have all played multiple seasons last year, but for their first year as a franchise. But two of those guys are gone. Frank Champion and Amon Takes both left the team in the offseason, so they had to fill those gaps with other players. So Mel Davis, the holdover, the head coach of this team, and their middle linebacker. They bring in Khalil Thomas, a former Chicago Wildcat, and good friend of Benjamin Warner, the wide receiver. They come over from the Wildcats when that team is disbanded, and they draft Gary Clem, who was one of the best linebackers in the minor leagues for 2 seasons for the San Jose Flight. That unit hasn't really missed a beat, but everybody else needs to pick up the slack as South's pass is dropped by Nelson Lozano. It was open over the middle, but David Horrell crashed quickly.
Yeah, I mean, being here since season 5, and now we're in season 16, I've seen this league grow and change in all different kinds of wonderful ways. And the importance of free agency is really starting to mirror the importance of it in the National Football League as well. I mean, getting key free agents can be the difference between you having a winning record and a losing record. I think we're seeing evidence of that today. You know, how you build your team, not only through free agency and the draft and retaining some of your own players. There's a terrific pass by Matt South, and they go to the no huddle here. But yeah, you know, team construction means more now than ever.
Lozano on the catch, his second of the game. Best passing play of the game for South. They'll try to do it again. Top of the screen, caught again by Nelson Lozano, and it seems like as good a time to mention as any. But the broadcast this week goes out to you, Nelson, friend of the program. We're thinking of you, my friend, and hope you were doing okay. 2nd and 5. South throws again, and it's batted away. Nice athletic play. Looks like Sicario was there. So was Adam Leach, 24 in the gold. Comes up and swats it away with the left forearm.
Yeah, and emphatically knocks it away there by Leach. Want to make sure that the receiver has no chance to catch it off the tip, knocks it out of bounds.
And that slows things down here for Fort Worth. That was the one play that their defense needed. And Portland offense trying to pick up some steam, gets a couple of positive plays in a row. Lozano with a pair of catches. Now can the Fort Worth defense rally to the charge and keep Portland out of the end zone? South off his back foot, throws short, passes caught, first down for Portland. This offense continues to move.
And the defender looked like he lost the ball completely, leaving his receiver wide open.
The backup, Gavin Bouvette on the catch. South under pressure, floats it right sideline, tipped again. Could have been picked off by Delaney Nash. Good coverage by Blake Prine, 2nd down.
Yeah, Delaney Nash there with the tippy toes, tried to catch it, make a real athletic play. Like he must have played a wide receiver in high school, because that was a very wide receiver-like move. But the last time these two teams played, Nash actually had 2 interceptions. That was last season back on October the 3rd. So Nash, something about Portland he really likes.
That game finished 26-3 Fort Worth. This game 30-3 Fort Worth. What's old is new again in the SFL. 2nd and 10 and a deep drop for South. Bullets it. Pass is caught by Nelson Lozano. That's now the best passing play of the game for Fort Worth, and a gain of 23.
And your Portland fans are going, where was this in the first half, in the third quarter? Why now?
Better late than never, I guess. And another dangerous pass from South, going for Lozano again. But that time the Toro defense was ready for it. And that's Ryan Rosworth, one of the backup linebackers on the stop.
I'll give all the credit to the defender for making a great defensive play. But I think it's what we've said. We've talked about, Tim. It seems like Portland's got to go through a rash of bad plays to find the good ones. And that might be what, what they're trying to figure out in the playbook, still trying to find what works for this team. And we see some of these plays really do work.
2nd down from inside the red zone. South throws, caught. On a stretch route goes Benjamin Warner, and he gets down inside the 3-yard line. His first catch of the game, and a great time for it.
Yeah, if they would have played like this there in the first half, this might have been a tied ball game right now.
Inside of 3 minutes to go. Portland on the doorstep for the first time. South throws, swatted away. Great one-on-one coverage by Ben Stone. He's got a pair of picks on the season. The only member of the starting 4 in this secondary who is not a Texas native, but he has been a big piece of this team for the last 2 years.
Well, I think this has proven that Fort Worth really has those short out routes locked down. And the success that Portland's found on this drive have been mainly towards the middle of the field. So it may just be a strategic attack that needs to take place by Portland to try and exploit the weakness, like their defense has been exploited in this game on those corner routes.
Look, since it's been a pretty one-sided game in the second half, and Portland may think, well, we may not win this game, I would have targeted Gene Valentine on every single play. It is his day after all. That time they tried to go second down. They will go to Love. He was born for this day, Steven. And Ezekiel Love has a touchdown on Valentine's Day. For the first time since week 2, the Fleet are into the end zone, courtesy of Ezekiel Love.
Well, it won't be a happy Valentine's Day for these guys, but it doesn't mean they can't find Love in the end zone there for a touchdown. And a little bit of happiness in what's probably been a pretty depressing day for these guys. Why not? It's a holiday.
This Portland offense has been making love out of nothing at all, coming out of here and developing stride. There we go. I was building up to that one. I've been working on it all game. Something that you said earlier kind of triggered that for me. And think, why not go for everybody's favorite random 80s song? Ezekiel Love is into the end zone. His first receiving touchdown as a running back in the SFL, and the second passing touchdown this season for Matt South. Point after attempt is good from David John. And remarkably, these two stat lines for Matt South the last 2 games have started to look pretty similar. Last week against Vancouver, South finished with 22 completions, completed about 63% of his passes, 144 yards, and 3 picks. Unofficially in this game today, get this, 21 completions, 144 passing yards, as they go for an onside kick here in a last-ditch attempt to come back in the game. Fort Worth recovers it. 21 completions, 144 yards, 3 picks. Almost the exact same stat line for South from last week to this week.
Right. Almost a mirror in statistics, but I think it's been totally different the way that he's gotten there in these 2 games. I mean, here, a lot more focus on getting Ezekiel Love the ball out of the backfield as a receiver. And we've seen him make some throws, particularly on that last series we didn't see him make last week.
Curtis back with the ball. He throws it out to Lauren Percoco. One-on-one coverage from Gary Clem, and Clem wraps down Lauren Percoco after a gain of 2. And rookie tight end, second-round pick this year for Fort Worth, made her first SFL touchdown catch earlier in this game. First passing touchdown for Cameron Curtis. Like we said earlier, a bit of a surprise to us coming into this game as we were getting ready that was the storyline for Curtis because of his huge frame, his big gunslinger ability that he flashed in the minor leagues. To have no touchdowns through 3 weeks for a league where there is a lot of offense was a surprise, but he has really acquitted himself nicely here in his fourth game as an SFL starter. Williams on the carry, stopped up for no gain, and that brings us to the 2-minute warning. Portland at home, trailing by 20. This is the SFL on LSN and FTF. Happy to have you with us on this Sunday night from Portland. Tim Hackett and Stephen Mullinax in the booth, Dwayne Schindler and Zach Haldorf in the stat truck. Cameron Irvine running the show. 3rd down and 9 from the 38 for Portland for Fort Worth on top by 20. Curtis hit as he throws. Goes down once again. It's actually the backup Jason Russell who is in now, and Mel Davis lays the wood on him. He has been known to get in the backfield, really more of a coverage middle linebacker as opposed to David Horrell, who has been known to rush the passer from that position in the past, but that time he blows up Russell for a stop on 3rd down.
Well, it appears the day is going to be over here for Cameron Curtis as the backups are in, as you mentioned. He's going to end the day unofficially 236 yards, 21 of 32, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Pretty good for a young man who came into this game without a touchdown throw. And still, I think the simple truth is this is a terrific punt here.
How about that?
End up on the Portland 1.
Oh, man.
I think the simple truth here, Tim, is that Fort Worth doesn't need Cameron Curtis to carry the load. And I think that bodes really well for this team's future.
What's surprising to me is that the game plan for Fort Worth has changed so much from last season to this season. The makeup of their offense is so different, like you said, now with only 2-star wideouts and 2-star tight ends versus the 3-1 that they had last season, and a new quarterback, but still it's different. South from his end zone has it swatted away, looking for Vandalay down the right sideline, and number 26, So the backup Eddie Bass makes the stop. But the other thing that has changed offensively for Fort Worth is that they don't throw to Jason Williams, or at least they haven't that much through 4 games now. Like I said earlier, last season he was like the dual threat running back alongside a guy like maybe DJ Moses or maybe a Jared McChesney in terms of guys who could run it or catch it. This season, Williams has been just really a run-first guy, and they only pass it to him occasionally, and it's going to result in a 3-1 record through 4 weeks. South's pass is caught by Valentine, I believe, on the top of the screen. That is just his second catch and his first for positive yardage.
Well, they may not be using Jason Williams as a receiver, but he is absolutely Cameron Curtis's best friend. I mean, to have a reliable back that can get you 4 or 5 yards per carry, it just does wonders for you as far as a young quarterback. You're not having these long, big third down conversions you're having to try and complete like Matt South has been all night.
They'll spread it out, 3rd down and 5. Deep drop and a deep throw for South into triple coverage. Tipped again and dropped, going for a streaking Valentine on Valentine's Day, but they could not link up. Kind of the story of the night here for Portland. Ben Stone on the coverage.
Yeah, and it just, they haven't caught many breaks here despite the holiday and despite having a Valentine and a Love on the roster. That it really hasn't helped them at all tonight here at home. But we're seeing inklings from this team. They're still trying to figure out exactly how to use this roster best. And week after week, we see growth, but it's growing pains.
4th and 5 and a couple more growing pains here for Portland. They needed 5. They only get 3 as South links up with Art Vandelay, just his 3rd catch of the ball game. He is stopped short of the sticks, and Fort Worth is going to take over inside the 10. Adam Leach with a one-on-one tackle.
A good job there by Vandelay to bring that in at the pass a little bit behind him. But again, Tim, I don't like when they throw in front of the sticks.
They've committed the Stephen Molyneux cardinal sin, and unfortunately for Portland, they have done that a couple of times today. So Jason Russell, the backup quarterback, will give to the fullback, Chris Komisak. We mentioned at the top of the show, one of the most used fullbacks in the SFL, had 13 carries through his first 3 weeks. 7 of those came last week in Fort Worth's win over Tulsa. Both of these teams have wins over the Desperados on the season, incidentally. And Komisak in this game, barely used. That was just his first carry. He had 1 catch earlier today. So a difference in game plan for Fort Worth as well. Portland uses its first timeout. 2nd and goal from the 7 for the backup quarterback, Jason Russell. And the give to the tailback. That's the backup, Bailey Rentley. He is stopped in the backfield by Mel Davis.
And this is one of my favorite times of a game like this. It's so lopsided. You get an opportunity to see the second teamers come in. And for me as an offensive coordinator, it's a great way to test the playbook. If these second teamers can be successful with the plays that you put in for the first team, you know that you have a solid playbook.
How does Fort Worth attack this one? Up by 20, 3rd and goal, less than 90 seconds to go. Russell to throw. Over the middle, has a man wide open. It's caught for a touchdown by Mike Caker. The backups get involved for Fort Worth, and it is all Toros in this ball game.
Wow, Tim, look at that duck. Quack, quack, but it gets the job done. Touchdown, and a little celebration for Fort Worth, and a little salt in the room there for Portland as the second tiers are come in humming just as high as the first teamers were.
Fort Worth defense gives the backups 1st and goal from the 9, and 3 plays later, Jason Russell links up with Mike Caker for their first touchdown connection of the season. Sicario boots through the PAT. He has been perfect today. It is Taco Sunday here in Portland, and the Toros extend their lead out to 37-10. Keep up with the SFL and its teams on social media at Simulationfl. Follow and subscribe to all the channels: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, and yes, TikTok. From teams to podcasters, final scores to major highlights, SFL Social has you covered. 37-10. There have been a lot of highlights in this game for Fort Worth. They have gotten the job done in just about every facet of the game. Warner, who has had a solid season returning kicks, out to about the 23-yard line. One other game in action right now on the SFL Twitch page. You can find that link, twitch.tv/SimulationFL. Chris Curtis and Cameron Irvine have the call for what looks to be a barn burner. Houston against Las Vegas, all tied up at 27 apiece in the 3rd quarter. And can we take the moment to mention just the work that Cameron Irvine has done behind the scenes this offseason. That scorebug graphic is not something that has been par for the course. It has been broken out in the SFL over the past couple of years, but has never been something that is always up there running for every game, even a run-of-the-mill regular season game like this one is, as South can't link up with Vandalay. And on that note, didn't get to mention it last week, Stephen, but the work that Mike Daggs has done to make our lives as broadcasters in this league so much easier, putting stuff together, putting up spreadsheets and ways for us easily to process, digest, and transmit information from our new website, which looks great, to you, the viewer. What Mike Daggs has done this season has been indispensable. So thank you to you, Mike, for all the work that you have done for us. 2nd and 10 for South. Floats it out to the top of the screen. There's a nice catch for Vandalay. He picks up 5.
Well, I can't say enough about Cameron Irvine. I mean, there would be no league without him, his vision, his passion, his hard work and effort. And I really don't have anything good to say about Mike Daggs, so I'm just going to leave that there.
I'm sorry that I brought it up, but yes.
A sore subject.
I won't press further. When you've been in the league as long as you have, Stephen, you've seen a thing or two, I'm sure. Mike Daggs doesn't like us to forget his successes, however few they may be. Another nice link up from South that's caught by Vandalay. And just like we saw last week, they're trying to get this connection working. Timing has been off between South and his receivers all game, so just trying to get some extra reps in. There's a nice pass streaking down the right seam as Vandalay breaks the tackle and Prine wrenches him down. A touchdown-saving tackle. Portland will use its last timeout as the Fleet are suddenly in striking distance again with 50 seconds left.
Well, you see what the game plan was here, and they certainly have the weapons to take advantage of what are some backups that are out there, but certainly something you can build upon. I mean, look, we know that Matt South has the arm to complete all these passes, to make all the kind of passes that you need. It just didn't work out today against this defense. Just too good. The players are just too good. The playbook and the defensive coordinator were just too on point in this game. But they've got the weapons to be successful. Now it's just a matter of putting them in position to be successful.
From the 22, South over the middle, and that could have been picked off again, right into the hands of Prine, who had his first SFL interception earlier in this half, could not make it 2.
Yeah, and Prine is not a backup. So we've got some of the stars that are still out there for sure and making things a little bit difficult here for Portland. But we're seeing the gems, the sparkle of something that could be really good here in Portland. We talked about the running back, and they've got that. They've got their franchise guy back there. They've got a really good defense. It's only getting better week after week. You just got to get this passing game going, and then we're going to see, I think, an explosion like plays like that.
South links up on the near side that time with Nelson Lozano. Again, didn't have any catches through his first 2 weeks and now has a handful here in this game after he had 6 last week. 3rd and 3, South pass caught again by Art Vandalay, who's starting to heat up. He had 5 catches last week. He's up to that total or thereabouts once again. Time ticking down. Portland now with 20 seconds. They will spike it now with exactly 20 showing on the clock.
Well, I love the fight. You got to love the fight that you're seeing out of Portland here at the end. They have not given up on this game. They know it's already in the bag. They know Fort Worth's going to win this one, but they're going, and they're going to leave everything on the field until the very final whistle. So, yeah, they know they're going to lose in the blowout. They're still using a timeout here with 20 seconds left in the fourth quarter to try and get in the end zone. Got to love that.
Trying to get those reps in, trying to build that rapport between South and a still young contingent of wide receivers. 2nd and goal now. The pass is caught over the middle, and now not a lot of time left for Portland. Lozano on the catch. Right back to the line they go. 3rd down and goal from the 2. 3 wides, and Lozano is the tight end. South to the near side. It's caught for a touchdown. Portland has come alive here in this second half, and Benjamin Warner has his first touchdown as a member of the Portland Fleets.
Well, they talk about football being a game of inches, and that was absolutely the case there. That ball was inches away from being tipped once again, as we've seen these out routes being defended really well by the Toros, but 24 can't get his hand on it this time, and it floats right into the hands of the Portland receiver.
What a time for Benjamin Warner. Did not have any catches through the first 3 quarters, and now he's got 2. One of them set up a previous score, and that one brings him into the end zone. The former Chicago Wildcat tight end moves to wide receiver here for Portland to join his 2 former cavalry teammates, the 3 Musketeers, Valentine and Vandalay, reunited here in Portland. Again, they led Javier Vasquez, Stephen McMichaels, and Kevin Say and company to the SFL Minor League Championship game. And Stephen, I mean, when I figured that Portland was in the market for a running back, when they ended up bringing in Ezekiel Love, a former minor league standout back. They're going to go for an onside kick here with 5 seconds left. I figured for sure they were going to look at Kevin Say just to kind of continue that whole Ottawa Cavalry renaissance, if you will. And he ended up, you know, a thing or two about Kevin Say, I think we could say. And I just thought it would be perfect if he ended up in Portland. But seems like he's got a nice home for himself after all. And he was a great tailback in the minor leagues, and that's all that I wanted to see from him.
Well, yeah, and we're thankful for that. The DC Dragons absolutely love Kevin Say. It made them the focal point of their offense, and he's been having a terrific rookie season. And we think the world of him as a player, as a person, and he's been nothing but terrific in our locker room. We knew that he would be. That's why he was our crown jewel in the draft, and we were happy that he fell to us, even though we did have the second overall pick.
The two teams that joined the SFL in Season 15 meet up for the second time, and for the second year in a row, it's all Fort Worth. The Toros dispatched the Fleet. The final score tonight, 37-17.
Yeah, and the Toros really dominated this game from start to finish. And it really started with Jason Williams, the running back, just a terrific, huge run there for a touchdown, 84 yards, I believe, there on a single run. That really set the tone for the night. And that made that early lead really settled down Cameron Curtis, who had not recorded a single receiving touchdown before coming into this game. He nabs 2 of those on his way to a big 20-point victory. We could talk about a lot of guys here. Robert Gary Jr., Lauren Facoco, Stephen Hacker, Kate Stevens all had their time under the spotlight in this game as Curtis spread the love here on Valentine's Day. But then we got to talk about the Toros defense. Just did an excellent job stifling anything the Fleet wanted to do. That included Ezekiel Love, who struggled running the ball tonight. And though they tried to get him, involved in the passing game more, Love 16 carries, only 25 yards unofficially. Just not typical of what Portland does best. And really, they didn't do anything really well tonight until maybe late in that fourth quarter.
One of the great things about the SFL is the backups, if you will, the non-roster players. They can be anybody that you want. I mean, we know that with the Chicago Wildcats last year, we had Travis Warren, who means a lot to our teammate Danny Stinson. Guys can be anybody. Guys or girls can be named anybody that you want. And the touchdown link-up that we saw in that fourth quarter by these Fort Worth backups, quarterback Jason Russell to wide receiver Mike Caker, they mean a lot to this Toros team. Jason Russell is named for safety Delaney Nash's deceased brother, and Mike Caker is named for Stephen Hacker's uncle, who died by suicide a few years ago. And these are just guys that their spirits, their lives, they live on in the SFL. And how great for Stephen and Delaney and the Fort Worth crew to see these guys, their spirits realized on this play right here. Russell to Mike Caker. Doesn't matter how pretty it is or when it comes in the game. It's just a way for those people to live on and to have their dreams realized here in the SFL.
That's a beautiful thing. The impact that this league has on so many individuals. We often just see them maybe as avatars on the field, but they represent real people. A lot of them do. And they all have things that are happening in their lives. We're all going through a tough time. To give a little bit of hope, a little inspiration, a little entertainment, as we see MVP Jason Williams there, 25 carries, 141 yards and a touchdown. It means a lot, and we're so happy. I know I'm so happy to be part of it.
Fort Worth wins this one by 20. They're now 2-0 against Portland all time. That's going to do it for us from the Shipyard. For Dwayne Schindler and Zach Kaldorf and Cameron Irvine, our producer, and my partner, Stephen Molinax, I've been Tim Hackett. Happy Valentine's Day to you, and have a good night. We'll see you next time. Until then, so long.